what's going on, guys? We're about to do a talk here at Avid Exchange, Black Tech Charlotte. They think we're going to talk about budgeting, saving, paying off debt, all that stuff. We're not going to talk about any of that. We're going to help entrepreneurs build better businesses in 2018. Come on, follow me. So instead of talking about maybe the fundamental practical stuff, I wanted to talk a little bit more conceptually today about how you can stay in the game of entrepreneurship, because I've been in this game for 7 years. And the reason why I call it a game is because, you know, a lot of people lose, right? And so it's not about getting into entrepreneurship, it's about staying into entrepreneurship. And a lot of what determines if you can stay in the game or not is how you manage your finances and how you allocate resources. What I do, so I'm an entrepreneur, financial planner, and investment advisor, okay? I have a firm here in Charlotte. The name of my firm is Make Sense to Me Incorporated, right? It's a registered investment advisory firm. And all that really means is that I have a legal obligation to do what's in my client's best interest. You would think that that would be an industry standard, but unfortunately it's not. That's another story for another day. I recently launched an initiative entitled the Melanin Million Movement. And I have the audacious goal of helping 100,000 people of color invest their first $1,000, right? Creating $100 million of new wealth in the African-American community. So we just got that started a couple weeks ago. Things are going really well. People are really engaged. And actually, I created these T-shirts as well to kind of build awareness about it. So shameless plug, melaninmoney.com. Feel free to pick you up one. There's 3 phases of building sustainable entrepreneurship, right? And phase 1 is developing a high income skill set, right? And when I say a high income skill set, I mean a skill that has the ability to earn you $100,000 or more in 1 year, okay? That can be videography, photography, consulting, SEO, whatever the case may be, right? You want to develop a high income skill set because when you're trying to build a scalable business, there's a lot of ebbs and flows, right? A lot of things that you can't control. And so a lot of entrepreneurs, they want to jump directly into, all right, I have this really great idea and I want to build my business, right? But before you do that, you need to make sure you have a means to actually earn income, because if not, then you're putting yourself in a position and at a disadvantage to be able to really maximize your potential of growing that business, right? And so having a high income skill set means you make you money. And with the way technology is going, everybody's like, well, why wouldn't I just make money online? Why wouldn't I just use the internet? Why wouldn't I just use Facebook ads? And all of that is still relevant, right? But if everything goes to crap, you want to be able to have a high income skill set that can still make you money, right? And what I mean by that is you want to invest in yourself. That's the first thing that you want to do before you invest in anything else. You want to invest in yourself. And you invest in yourself to acquire that high income skill set so that you know you can always make money regardless of what happens in the economy. So just scroll all the way. Yeah, there you go, person. All right. So once you've developed that high income skill set, then that's when you can build a scalable business. But as I mentioned a second ago, everybody wants to jump to phase 2 immediately. But what do you need to grow a scalable business? You need money, right? And so if you don't develop a high income skill set that can earn you income while your business is growing or while you're trying to grow this scalable business, what's going to inherently happen is you're going to be pulling money out of the business, which isn't going to allow it to grow at the rate you want it to grow, right? And so that's why a lot of companies fail. 9 out of 10 startups fail, right? And I don't say that to discourage anyone. I say that so that we can be self-aware and more practical in our approach, right? You need to have a way to make sure that you're taking care of your basic needs through your high income skill set to ensure that you can reinvest profits or reinvest any money that you have back into the business without putting that undue demand on making the business grow. Does that make sense? So an example of that is I recently just became an angel investor in a fintech startup. And so I met with the founder for lunch last week, and he was telling me about his journey. And what he said was for the past, I think, 2 years, he had been putting $60,000 a year into the business. How'd he do it? Did he have a bunch of money saved up? No. What he did was he had a high income skill set, he humbled his lifestyle, and he was able to use some of that money to help fuel his business, right? And he didn't have a demand to pull income from the business that he was trying to grow, so he was able to maximize the growth of the business in a short time. So now his business is slated to grow to be a $3 billion business inside of 24 months, right? Now, do you think he would be able to grow that business at that rate if he was trying to have that business fund his lifestyle? Probably not, right? And so you have to make that distinction between having a skill that can earn you money and having a business that you're trying to scale. Because if you do it prematurely, the business is not going to be able to grow because you're taking revenue out of the business in order to fund your lifestyle, right? So I actually just went to Ghana about 6 weeks ago. Not on the best circumstances. My father passed away, unfortunately, but I did have an opportunity to talk to one of his really good friends. And one of the things that he mentioned to me, he's an entrepreneur as well. One of the things that he mentioned to me, he said was the reason why he became an entrepreneur is because his take-home pay could not take him home, right? And I thought that was incredibly funny, and I can respect that approach to entrepreneurship, right? Essentially what happened is you got more month than you got money, right? You're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and you still feel like you don't have enough resources to do what you want to do, so you jump out there and you do something, right? However, any entrepreneur in the room can tell you that entrepreneurship all on its own, without any extra demands that you place on it, is difficult. It's challenging. So when you couple the regular challenges of entrepreneurship with then trying to draw income from a business that you're trying to scale, it's very difficult, right? And so you just have to be very mindful and methodical with your approach and not think that your really good idea is automatically going to produce income from day one. Does that make sense? All right, so the last thing, or the last phase of sustainable entrepreneurship is investing in high return assets, right? And so this is the one that everybody wants to jump to, right? Money, my money making me money, right? So the first one was you making you money. The second one was people or systems making you money. This one is your money making you money. And everybody wants to jump to this one. And this is the one I actually technically get paid for, right? But the reason why it's phase 3 is because if you're an entrepreneur, right, you need to be reinvesting into yourself and then reinvesting into your business. Because if you're reinvesting into the stock market or reinvesting into real estate prematurely, then what that means is 9 times out of 10, you're going to need that money to sustain your lifestyle, to grow your business, and then you're going to have to get rid of the investment anyway, right? So there's levels to the process, and you want to be mindful of the levels so that you can make sure that you're sustainable in entrepreneurship. Anybody can leave their job and say, hey, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. The question is, how long are you going to be able to stay an entrepreneur? And the way that you stay an entrepreneur is to humble your lifestyle, have a high-income skill set that can fund the business that you're trying to scale, right? And then once that business is scaled, taking those excess profits and investing them into high return assets, right? Anybody have any questions as of yet?
So that slide talked about, I guess, high yield investments over 10%. What type of investments are you looking at?
Right, so that can vary, right? That can be real estate, that can be the stock market, right? It can be, in my case, the business that I invested in that I'm not controlling or managing, right? It's not to say that it's guaranteed to produce 10% or more year over year, but after you've done the evaluation, it should be able to produce 10% year over year. But again, another reason why this is phase 3 versus phase 1 is because if it doesn't, right, if I invest in this fintech startup and it fails, and I'm relying on that income to be able to fund my lifestyle or fund my business, then I'm screwed, right? So it's one of those things where I've done the research, I understand my risk tolerance, and I've invested in something that I believe is going to get me there, but it's still a hope. Same thing even with phase 1, the high income skill set, right? It has the ability to help you earn $100,000 or more a year. But if you don't get up and hustle and work and get in front of the right people, or work with people like her who can help you understand how to get in front of the right people, then you might not do it, right? So both of these things give you the ability to either earn 10% or more or earn it more than $100,000 a year, but you have to put in the work and understand what you're doing in order to actually make it come to fruition. Does that make sense? Cool. Any other questions? Oh, sorry.
So, with the growth of the business, have you actually experienced a level of failure to where you have to revamp and regroup in order to better yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. So give a little background because I didn't have a lot of time. And how am I on time?
We don't know.
Okay, so to give a little background, so I've been an entrepreneur for 7 years. And so I basically started a year out of college, right? And so no savings, no nothing, and so I had to just kind of figure it out along the way until I got to a point where I was like, okay, I have some money saved up. I think I know what I'm doing now. I'm not just working in the business, I'm working on the business. But along the way, you learn different high-income skills. You learn different skills that then shift your framework for what path you want to go down in your business, right? I started out primarily focusing on insurance. Then I transitioned to focusing on investment sales. And then I transitioned into being a comprehensive financial planner. So to answer your question, for me, it was more about adapting to where I felt like the market was going and where my skill set would be better received, and then acquiring that skill set in order to be able to serve a different audience. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Okay, cool. I think we have somebody over here.
Just a question about skills. How do you keep your skills up as you're building and funding your business at the same time? How do you, with all the different changes and stuff, especially in tech,
Right.
and as the tech changes, we need to keep those skill sets up. What do you think we should invest in or focus on when we're trying to determine what we focus on for our skill set?
Right. So again, that's going to vary based upon what industry you're in, right? But it's really a matter, if you're entrenched, like I'm entrenched in the financial space. So I always have a pulse and an ear to what's going on. I know who my direct competitors are, who my indirect competitors are. I know what they're doing, what's working for them, what's not working for them. And so you're just going to have to keep a pulse on what's going on in your industry and then proactively seek out different resources and self-education to try to make sure that you're staying abreast of what's going on. That's what I would do, and that's what I do. So I don't know if there's maybe a more formal approach to it. I know nowadays there's a lot of people who are thought leaders in various industries, and they put together online courses and all that good stuff. So that might be something just to keep a pulse on, right? Just seeing who is pioneering in my space, and are they giving out educational resources that can help me grow my business or help me refine my skills. Does that make sense? Cool. Anybody else? I'm getting the wrap up music, so I gotta go. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. I hope this was helpful. I know it was a little bit more conceptual than you guys might have thought, but if you got any questions, grab me later before the event's over, and that's my time. So.